Georgia Virtue presents the Let Me Tell You Why You're Wrong podcast.
Thank you for downloading episode 317. This week, we have cheaters getting cheated, Trump reaching out to Libertarians, a ball to the head, restaurant problems in the People's Republic of California, a shocking seizure, and investigating Emory. I'm Dave Roberts, filling in for Ken this week, a previous guest, host of Whiskey After Work podcast, realtor, business broker, and wine distributor, Doug Shaw.
I've been busy.
It's like the back of those trucks say plumbing, HVAC, electrical, taxes.
Yeah. I'm not afraid to make money. I think money's afraid to come to me, but I'm not afraid to make money.
I've scared away plenty of dollars.
I can imagine that. And the women that were holding them.
Oh no, they ran immediately. As they should.
Well, I don't know. I'm glad that Ken took off for the weekend and gives me a chance to get back on here. I always have fun, so I'm looking forward to it.
And your podcast is a little different in format from this one, but it's certainly worth checking out.
Oh yeah, mine's a little, let's just say a little less restrictive on the language. So I'm sure Eric is puckering at the thought of me being on here again. But hey, it's job security.
Oh, I broke the bleep button one week. It was I think it was a story on Peachtree City and the city council just trying to turn into tyrants.
Trying?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, Peachtree City was founded on the whole idea that we're better than you.
This is true.
And we're going to have cart paths.
And we got golf cart paths.
And what makes it worse is they figured out there how much money they were losing because people would go out to dinner, have a few drinks, hop in the golf cart, which is what you do for 4 hours while you're playing golf. And they said, man, when do you start stopping people for DUI on the cart paths? That was 30 years ago.
I know people who have gotten in trouble for that. It happens. Well, City of Austin did the same thing with Uber and Lyft when they banned it for a year because they didn't want the competition with the taxi companies, and then also they didn't like the reduction in revenue from less DUIs at the college down there. So it was going for about a year, and finally they fought back and made it like every other place that should be in the free world where you can call Uber or Lyft.
Yeah, and step into a vehicle that doesn't smell like urine.
Yeah. Yes. That's public transit too.
Austin is weird.
It is, but the food's really good, and so is the music.
The food and music are good. I mean, it's worth visiting, but yeah, DUI laws have nothing to do with reducing DUIs. If they did, the punishments would be draconian.
Yep, and I think the proof in the pudding too is how low they've dropped the blood alcohol levels to get a DUI. I think I wake up in the morning at 0.08. So.
I can't say I never have.
I definitely have. So.
Well, you can't drink all day unless you start in the morning.
That's right. Well, with me selling wine, day drinking is now my job.
Yeah, an alcoholic is classy.
Yes. I'm not having a drink. I'm having 6, and it's called a tasting, and it's classy.
Well, what the hell are people still doing on AshleyMadison.com? Good Lord.
They want to have an affair, Dave. And there's absolutely no other apps out there that they can use to do this. It's the only one.
I wonder how prevalent this is on, I don't know, Christian mingle, because like one or two dating sites owns most of the dating sites.
Oh yeah.
So if you look at what was his name, Dr. Neil Warren or something, who was like Match.com. We're going to work and a deep spiritual, and same guy owns the swipe left, swipe right one.
Yeah, they're all the same.
Well, what's been happening is they start chatting, they hear what they want to hear, then they say, "Hey, let's get on a video chat," and they go to Zoom or whatever, and they're recording it the entire time, and the bait girl does her thing, and then the news comes out, and they tell them, say, "Look, I've recorded it." The entire thing. I've got your Facebook friends list, and I'm going to send it to everybody on your friends list.
Or you pay me.
And it starts off at 1,000, but it's just like with blackmail, it never stops. It's always something else.
I mean, this is just an adult version of how many teenagers that have had this done to them that end up committing suicide. I mean, it's just people are desperate, man, and if they're desperate for affection or love or whatever they're desperate for, and they walk right into it.
Yeah, I didn't even know Ashley Madison was still a thing.
I thought it would have went away after the decade or so ago, whenever everybody's information got released.
Yeah, 2015. Like if you're trying to have a covert affair, that's not the place to do it.
Nope. Absolutely not.
I mean, look, this is where I'm kind of torn with being a libertarian. Is ideally I say, you know what, just hire somebody. I don't know how much it costs, but they're paid to leave and to keep their mouths shut.
Well, there's an old saying, Dave: if it flies, floats, or
fornicates,
rent it.
Yeah, it's much cheaper to rent. But no, it's some of these guys weren't even married. Some of the guys were just on the site and thinking they were going to hook up with this girl. I also have never seen the woman who wants to watch you on video play with yourself.
Absolutely not. That's the last thing you'll ever see about me.
Well, thank God.
Yes. So.
But it's I think that's the dead giveaway. Which is like, no, I want to watch you. What? No, you don't. That's now. I haven't been single in a couple decades, but I don't think that was ever a thing.
Well, yeah. I'm not saying I've been married for a long time, but there was no webcams or video on your cell phone when I was in my dating days or in my early years of being married either. So technology, I didn't have to worry about.
And cell phone calls, you had to watch your minutes. Text cost money. Yeah, but it's amazing to me how easily these guys are duped. And it's like, and if you send the money, of course you can send it electronically. It's either through Bitcoin or I think one guy said it was 1,000 Amazon gift cards. And
your first clue that she's not real is when she asks for gift cards. That's called an escort.
Yeah. Oh, it's just so if you pay up front, if you pay the 1,000 up front, you're a John. If you pay it on the back end, you're a victim.
I'm writing this down right now.
Taking notes.
Yeah, taking notes.
And it's not like you could tell your wife if I would have been married 25 years.
28.
28. It's not like you could tell your wife, "Oh, that's not me. That's a deep fake." She's like, "No, I've been looking at that poor sucker for almost 3 decades. I know exactly who that one belongs to."
I'm not saying it's a long time. I'm just saying I'd have got less for murder.
Especially in California,
yes.
You'd have been released. So Trump is courting libertarians, and I don't know how well this is going to go.
Yeah, I don't either. The thing is Biden is so bad that it might work. And I mean, that's why he's doing it. It's gotten so bad that it just might work. Although, there's still a lot of people that I know that they just are going to sit it out. They're not going to vote because they cannot vote for him.
Right, or go down the ticket.
Yeah. Yep. Skip that, move on down. I do still know a few people that are going to vote for Robert Kennedy, and I don't want to call it a wasted vote, because if you can't stand either one, it's not a wasted vote. It's your vote. Do with it what you want. We've fought wars for that. But I don't know. I think there's quite a few people that would normally not vote for Trump that are going to think about it this time.
I think people were figuring out that bread not being $5 a loaf was okay to put up with a few mean tweets.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I know that the president doesn't have everything to do or that much to do with the price of gasoline, but it is literally twice the price of the last election.
And it's suppressed.
Yeah.
We still haven't refueled the strategic oil reserve.
Yep. So, I mean, people are hurting, and I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it in my customers. I'm seeing, they're noticing a huge slowdown in consumer spending. That's, that's extra money. It's just people are buckling down. They have to, and when people have to start doing that, and the credit cards start not getting paid, and the car payments are behind, the student loan payments are behind, then they start to think about what caused that. They start to look around and go, am I really better off than I was 4 years ago? And if you say yes, I don't believe you right now.
How about not paying rent for 3 years under the COVID restrictions, and then finding out that, somebody who couldn't afford $1,000 a month now owes $36,000.
Yeah. Or that when you have illegal immigrants coming in and they're in New York City and they're giving them $1,000 a month.
Plus room and board and food typically.
Yep. But that's not an American only thing either, though. We're headed to Ireland in August, and we had a hard time finding hotel rooms because upwards of 60% of the hotel rooms in Ireland right now are taken up by immigrants and refugees.
From where?
Them the rooms. Ukraine, Gaza, you name it.
Wonderful. That's what the Irish were missing. Bombings.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been 23 years since the IRA planted a bomb.
Well, they say that they sympathize with the Palestinians. So, but back to Libertarians, I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen yet what he's really doing to court the Libertarians. But I got to think
he's gonna talk at their national convention.
Oh, nice.
And I don't know how many Libertarians actually sit down and watch it. I'm sure they will catch it on YouTube or whatever, what he had to say. Hey, look, he's going to have to answer, if you want Libertarians, you have to answer some real questions like the slide fire ban and how it was passed.
Yeah. Is he going to dress like some of the Libertarians have in the past? Was it who was it, Harry Brown, that used to wear the fringe leather Western jacket?
I don't know. Then you have John McAfee. Gary Johnson, one of the nicest guys and worst person to have run. But I understand Gary Johnson's super, super, super nice guy. But when they asked him about Aleppo, he goes, "What is Aleppo?" Instead of a strong libertarian response would have been, "In what state will I find Aleppo?" "Oh, it's not in the United States? I don't care."
That'd been a great answer.
Yeah, I mean that's truly the line. Jesse Ventura, for as nuts as he is, when he was running for governor, so a woman asked him, "I'm a single mother, blah 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 blah. What can you do for me?" He's like, "I'm sorry, but the government doesn't exist to serve you." Great answer. He didn't back away from it.
Yeah,
he's since lost his mind. But.
I was going to say he's nuttier than squirrel turds.
Oh yeah, he is. Absolutely, but it will be interesting to see what the polling comes out. And I have a theory with polls and Trump. The people that say they haven't decided yet, yes, you have. Yes, you friggin' have.
They just are embarrassed to tell you who they've decided for.
Exactly right. Is people don't want to say Trump. That they want to seem progressive. And I think at the end of the day, even people who say they're voting for Bobby Jr. probably won't throw in for a third party candidate. They'll probably end up, with Biden or Trump, in my opinion.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's embarrassing that we have to vote for either one of these idiots, but we're going to have to.
Well, said during the 2016 election, is this the best way to find the two worst people on earth?
Very true.
And you're a gun guy also.
Him shutting down. Talking about.
Yeah, I know. And you lost them all. You had to sell your guns. The rest you sold to pay for college for two girls.
That's right. The last one graduates this coming Friday. Thank you very much. Yeah.
and you're ready to sell your house and get a one bedroom apartment. Like, you can stay on the couch, I guess, but you don't need to be out.
Yeah, tiny home.
A tiny home. That's a really nice way of rebranding a single wide.
Yeah, you take the tires off, and then it's a tiny home.
Right. It still gets there being towed.
Yep.
So watch what you say courtside. This is an interesting story because it's twofold. Player's name is Patrick Beverley. He plays for Milwaukee Bucks. I guess these fans were heckling him. They were Bucks fans. So he takes a basketball and flings it and nails a chick in the head and then signals for them to throw it back. And he got the ball back, then pegged to the guy, and the guy was able to deflect it, who I guess had been saying stuff to him. Basketball is one of the few professional sports left, that you are right on the action if you have the money.
Yep, no nets, no plexiglass, no anything.
Yeah, I mean, you could sit fairly close in baseball, and as close as you can get to a player would probably be the on deck circle. But yeah, there are nets up. There's in football, you're even front row. You're what 25 yards back.
Oh yeah.
So you can say whatever you want, but it's that you're not so close that you're going to run the risk of getting your butt beat by a 7-foot center, But then going off the court, a producer asked him if about doing an interview, and he asked her if she subscribes to his podcast, and she said no. He goes, well, no disrespect, but I can't do your interview. So between those two, he had to do some apologizing on X, formerly known as Twitter. I hate saying that.
Then don't. If you don't know what X is by now.
Yeah, that's true. I just don't know what you call it. You still call them tweets, or you call them X-grams?
I call it, I don't get on that damn thing much.
Yeah, I mean, I have an account.
Yep. I think I have one. I've had one for 15 years, and I've probably got 10 posts.
Right. I don't even know which. I don't know. I know the show is up on Twitter, so the stuff gets posted on there. So I should be more active in it. But he was used for color commentary during playoffs and stuff. If his team wasn't in the playoff itself, and he has been disinvited. Is one story that he's not going to be allowed on the air with ESPN, and the other story to make it less salacious says, this happened on Friday. The decision came down Thursday that he wouldn't be doing color commentary, and it's not punitive, which I don't know. It seems very coincidental.
One, it was a bad idea to throw a basketball at somebody. Two, it's probably the most interesting thing for me that's happened at a basketball game, and I can't tell you how long. And three, he's a basketball player. He's not a professional commentator or whatever else. So I don't know what they expect of this guy. It was stupid. He's probably going to end up paying somebody some money too, or at least
I'm
the
sure
NBA will. But at the end of the day, professional sports are getting less and less interesting to me.
I don't think I've never found it necessary to yell at someone on a field or court. But
it happens. I mean, and people and we're in a day and age where people are pushing the buttons. I mean, Charles Barkley will tell you that. I mean, people used to try to get into fights with him in like Vegas and that because they knew the reaction they were going to get. And, they either wanted some sort of notoriety or a chance to try to go for some money. But, there's no need to yell that stuff, but this guy makes enough money and has played in enough arenas and played around enough crowds that he knew better than this. It was stupid on both parts, but at the end of the day, it doesn't affect my life one bit because I wasn't going to watch the stupid game anyway.
The only thing it does do is it may put the idea out there to start pushing the stands back further and further from the benches.
Don't know how you do it though.
In built arenas, I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to put up nets, like they have at the baseball stadiums, and or like go to hockey and they've got the glass up. Or, what you do.
In baseball, it took quite a few people taking bats to the head and balls to the head for them to put the netting up, over the infield. Not over, but around the infield.
Oh yeah, it was the same with hockey, getting the glass higher and higher up. Then they put nets up now too, above the net, above the glass on the corners and that where it's most likely to come over. It took people getting killed for them to do that.
Yeah, a hockey puck coming at you at 90 miles an hour probably doesn't give you a whole lot of time to react. No.
And it's very, very, very hard. And, but it's the same, I mean, with baseballs too. I saw a kid, he had his glove in his hand. This was years ago, Fulton County Stadium. Braves were playing the Pittsburgh Pirates. And it was during batting practice for the game. And foul off the batting practice, and it came right at this kid, and he had his glove up like he was going to catch it. It hit his dad right in the mouth. Kid still caught the ball, by the way.
Nice. On the ricochet?
Yeah, Dad actually went and got some stitches. I don't know if they would do this now at the first aid station, and they came back and watched the game with a very fat lip. Look,
if you were close enough, those are pretty good seats. Now, excuse me. I had my boys, my soon-to-be 11-year-old nephews. This is a couple years ago, and we were sitting on the third base line, and I had to remind them because little kids, they talk, they turned away. Same thing with both the ladies that were with us, my wife and my sister-in-law, and I have to tap them, say, left-handed batter, pay attention. But anyway, back on this, I'm wondering if he doesn't get charged. I mean, it's simple assault. He could buy his way out of it with a $1,000 fine.
That might happen. But does that calm down the heckling, or does that increase the heckling where people want to try to do this?
I don't know, because the woman who wasn't heckling, that took it off her head or her face, wherever she took the ball, she was collateral damage.
Yep.
So I don't know, man. We're increasingly a society that people don't think they can get punched in the face.
Well, you get in trouble for it now.
Yeah, I mean...
Like, you get in trouble talking about it now. So it becomes a threat. So I don't know.
If I'm saying I'm going to beat your ass, like, oh, he verbally assaulted me and made threats.
That's right. I'm going to see a psychiatrist now. Thank you.
Yeah. Take everything I've got, right?
You damaged my ego.
I don't know if that's possible, Dougie.
Oh, I have no ego. I also have no cares, and I have no filter, and all those things add up to just making me a real jerk. But I'm good with it.
So California has a new law that restaurants will not be allowed to charge a surcharge for their employees. And so some restaurants were putting a California surcharge on because they have to give medical now. They have to pay $20 an hour. And the reason they didn't increase the price of the food, honestly, my belief is they want people to see this is how much is going to the government. Or this is how much the government is costing us. Here's your inflation in front of you.
I agree with them if that's the reason. It's people need to understand the effects and the results of all of this government overreach, and California is the worst of it. And, businesses are leaving that state in droves. And I can't believe there's as many still there as there are. But I'm sorry, your cheeseburger, $20 an hour to make a cheeseburger is bogus. It's stupid. And
the logic behind it is beyond me. This is not, you can't support a family off of making $10 an hour. Well, no, you're not supposed to. That's a job you work when you're in high school.
Yeah, it's an entry-level job. And there are people that stay in the food industry, the hospitality industry, that go on to make very good livings and very good careers out of it. And some of those people are even waiters and waitresses that end up at higher-end restaurants where, the tickets are huge and as are the tips because, that's what's expected there. But I know people that, make six figures working in the high-end food and beverage industry as bartenders and waiters and that. But that's not what this is, And those people would never worry about a minimum hourly wage of any kind because they're making way more than that. But for a fast food or fast casual to be required to pay that kind of money, at some point those meals are going to become so expensive that you might as well just be going to a nice steakhouse.
Well, I know the ticket for our whole table when I was in Biloxi at Ruth Chris had to be over 1,000. Had to be. Now we had the two boys with us, my brother and sister-in-law, my parents, my wife and I were there. So it was a pretty big table, but yeah, none of us are slouches when it comes to tipping.
No, not when you're getting an exceptional meal with exceptional service. Applebee's is not going to give you that.
I would hope not. Although I think Applebee's is running an ad. Applebee's or Ruby Tuesday is running an ad on social media that shows $20 essentially Big Macs. And they said they're running a burger special on Tuesdays, whatever, for $5.99 burger and fries.
I don't know. Are there still Ruby Tuesdays and Applebee's?
Well, it's Ruby Tuesdays where we live.
For now. The place is empty every time you go into it.
Yeah, I've never had trouble getting a table.
No. There's nobody in front of you at the salad bar either.
It's in a Kroger parking lot, and they ran out of something for the salad bar. I said, why don't you just go to Kroger and buy what you need, come back. Oh, we're not allowed to. Whatever. Like you're out of a grocery and this grocery store behind you. But this is going to have a very chilling effect on, one, expanding jobs, getting more kids into working. It's not about the living wage for kids. It's about learning work ethic. It's about learning the social skills that go along with being in the service industry. I know a lot of people that worked in the service industry, and those are the people who know how to treat a waiter. They're people who aren't snapping their fingers.
Agreed. And I think, too, though, that there's a large part of that younger generation now that's just getting beat into their heads so they don't have to work. And you're still seeing the labor shortages because of it. But out there, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how people can afford to live in California anymore. I don't know how people could afford to go eat out in California anymore. I just really, it's gotten to the point it's so bad out there with things like this that, you know, I just don't know how people do it. I don't know why they do it. And I guess if you're out there and you love the weather and it's a beautiful state.
Oh, it's a gorgeous state. I mean, it's worth going, but take your wallet with you for sure, because
it'll be easy to bring it back.
Yeah, it'll be much lighter. And just watch where you're stepping so you don't step in, human crap.
So, and they're wanting to tip the whole restaurant. So that's what they're saying. They're really expecting you to tip everybody in the restaurant, not just your waiters.
Look, that's been done forever. Is the waiter or waitress will tip the busboys and tip the cooks. Now, is it dollar for dollar? No. But you got a busboy in there, and when I was a kid, every table got rolls. Everybody had a water glass, and everybody had rolls. So the busboy would go over there, and that was it. Make sure that the table always has rolls. Make sure their water glasses are always filled. If they're light on a cocktail, ask them if they're ready for another. Let me know, and I'll have the bar make it. It's been like that. I mean, since I've been alive. But this idea that you have to split with everybody, tip cash.
Well, and with this law, I mean, at the end of the day, the prices are going to be the same. The bill's going to be the same, but you're not going to be able to tell people why the bill's so high. And this to me is more, more the government covering their own rear end, because they don't want people to see all what they call the junk fees, but they're all the fees that help the restaurants and the businesses pay the employees the stuff they're mandated to pay.
Right.
And remember, I guess in theory, the prices aren't going to go up. The total bill won't go up. It's just going to be, they'll have to raise the prices of the food and everything else. And you can't show people what they're really having to pay for with what they were doing before with the fees on the bills.
Well, what I think happens is people don't tip on the fees. They tip on, you tip on alcohol differently than you do food. I mean, I don't, but
I don't tip on tax. I mean, I tip on the pre-tax amount. I mean, I could definitely see this too. You're right. But they're not going to be able to see the fees in that. And if I saw those fees, I wouldn't tip on those.
Right. And then this communist idea that if I bust my butt and I keep my tables turning and I take twice as many customers as you do, then we have to pool our tips together and split it up equitably. That's insane.
Yeah, and I always try to tip my waiters in cash. I try not to add it to the bill. I always try to tip them in cash. And what they do with it from there is between them and their business and the IRS. It's not, but I want to give them that option.
I usually tell them this is a bona fide gift, not a tip.
Yeah, this is for you. You.
Man, I got told at Chops after the pandemic. This was the second day we'd been there. One day we just got oysters and lobster bisque. The other day we got steaks. But I went to pay with cash. And I put $200-$300, whatever it was, in the little thing, and start to walk away. It's like, oh, we're cashless. What? What do you mean you're cashless? Well, because of the pandemic. What? That doesn't make any sense. I said, I don't want any change.
What does that money say right on it?
Legal tender for all debts, public and private.
Exactly.
There's actually a lottery commercial that comes on during the Braves game
I know where you're going with this.
It's a guy who puts, I don't know, $80 on the little tray they bring your bill on. First of all, this restaurant and the commercial is way too nice for him to be able to pay with $80. But he's like, I'm sorry, we don't take coupons. No, that's cash. And so it says, no, you can't pay with tiny portraits of presidents, even if they're very nice.
I've seen it. It's very funny.
Finally, a lottery commercial that I still don't like the lottery, but finally a commercial that's actually funny. The goat shooting fire is not hilarious. It's not funny to me.
No, it's not. But again, I don't even watch much network TV anymore, so I probably wouldn't even see those commercials much anymore. Streaming has been the best thing ever for me.
I usually use the DVR and I skip past commercials, unless I'm watching sports, in which case I watch sports live. Oh. And the night before we recorded, the Braves game, because they were on the West Coast, came on at 10:10 p.m. Like, oh God.
So I'm assuming you don't have Xfinity.
I don't.
It's a whole nother story for a whole nother day.
We're going to stay in the People's Republic of California. San Anselmo, man, tased by police. This story should tick you off. A guy was having a grand mal, not grandma, but a grand mal seizure. He's 61 years old, and he's in the middle of the seizure, and the lights are on, but nobody's home. When his wife called 911. And so often happens, the police are the first ones on the scene. A lot of times the EMTs are a few minutes behind him. So they said he was not being cooperative and tased him. Then when he was taken to the hospital, arrested him at the hospital. And he threw all sorts of charges, resisting arrest, just anything they could think of. I think they even got him through a domestic violence charge. I had him and his wife sitting there, and I understand domestic violence is not uncommon for the victim to go, no, there's nothing wrong, nothing wrong. But when it became evident this guy was having a medical problem, I mean, come on, and then you're going to zap him? You could have killed the guy. His brain's already misfiring.
Well, there's a couple things about this story that are just infuriating. I mean, makes my blood boil. One is the quickness to go to excessive force like this in this situation. They didn't ask any questions. They didn't ask the wife any questions. They didn't ask what's going on or why is this, or, is this something that's happened before? They didn't ask any questions to even understand the situation. And then on top of it, to start piling charges on just so you can cover your own rear end.
And that's exactly what it is.
And try to justify what you did. And unfortunately, we've seen it happen locally. I think you actually asked that question a little bit of your two candidates for sheriff last week. We've seen it happen locally. You see it happen all the time, and it's nobody stepping up and say, we made a huge error. Let's deal with this. Let's make it right. Instead, it's throw the person under the bus. We're the police. We're the ones we're the end all be all. We're the ones with all the authority. And please understand, and as you know it already, Dave, but I am a huge, huge backer of law enforcement. Most of my friends, I say most, a couple of my closest friends have been in law enforcement their entire lives. And I'm a huge backer of law enforcement, work on law enforcement charities and first responder charities. But there's no call for this. There's no reason for this, and there's no justification for this. And I think that if a law enforcement officer is caught putting false charges in to cover their own rear end, I think it needs to be a career-ending move for them. Really,
at least, because they're using the hammer of government to to save their own hides.
Yep.
And it would have taken, because he has these seizures, and the wife could have told him right off the bat, look, he's having a seizure. We're waiting for EMS to take him to the hospital.
Well, on top of that, the guy was having a neurological event, and they shot a bunch of electricity into him. What could go wrong? That should be part of training with tasers, and I know that it is. But maybe it's something that needs to be taught a little bit more.
Well, people also need to understand that tasers are not non-lethal; they're less than lethal.
Yes.
You can have a heart attack. You can die if you get hit with a taser. It's less than lethal.
Yes.
And the guy's 61 years old. I mean, if they really thought he was a threat, I believe there were at least 2 officers there, and he's got a 61-year-old man. If you wanted to get him down in the bed or put him on the floor, or whatever, it would have been very easy to do.
Yes. And it was a medical call to start with. And
right. And this happened end of August in 22. And I guess all his cases are adjudicated because now he's filing lawsuit.
Yep. And they thought when they opened the door, they thought they were going to have EMTs, but the police showed up before the EMTs did and didn't ask any questions. Just went in and did what they did.
They start barking orders to somebody who's not there. And this is something that we talked about with both sheriff candidates, was getting that mental health training for road deputies and honestly jailers, is be able to recognize what's going on. Now, they're never going to be psychologists out there, and we don't want them to be. But you need to be able to recognize when somebody's is having having an episode or having a moment or having a seizure, and be able to recognize, okay, let's put the pistols away. Talk to the wife. How long do these seizures usually last? Is he epileptic? Has he been taking anything today? And he's diagnosed with epilepsy. Now, the biggest thing that the government's lawyers are complaining about is them going public with it and getting the video released and all that stuff. Is you're trying to try these officers in the court of public opinion. Like, yeah. I mean, you should be, people in the community need to know that the people we pay to keep them safe may be a little too trigger happy when it comes to less than lethals. But what the hell do I know?
Not much.
that becomes more and more evident every day. This is a good time to remind you that these are our opinions and not those of anyone not on the show or any respective company for which we may work, own, or otherwise associate ourselves with on a regular or irregular basis. Also, you can find other episodes and relevant stories over at thegeorgiavirtue.com. All right, Doug, who you got for the mule?
Can I have 2 this week? I got to tell you, my first one is the pro-Palestinian campus protesters. The protests are getting out of hand. They're getting violent. They're getting destructive. But what the craziest thing is about them is you're learning that more and more that the majority of them are not even students, or do they have any affiliation or connection to the schools that they're at. They had arrested last week in New York 282 protesters between Columbia and the City College in New York. And of those 282 protesters, 134 of the protesters had no connection to the school at all. Now, that's not saying the rest of the protesters were students. That's just saying that the rest of the protesters may have at least had a friend, relative, or some sort of affiliation or connection as an employee or somebody who used to go there or whatever. But almost half of them had no affiliation at all. What they're learning is that these protesters have been practicing for months to do what they're doing. that they've had long-time left-wing groups training them. I saw a picture of 3 of the protests where all the tents were the exact same tents. They were being bought in bulk and handed out to the protesters to take with them to whatever campus they're sending them to.
And whatever the cause du jour is.
Yeah, exactly. And so what you're learning is it's not really students that are doing this. And there may be a handful that are there that are students, but a lot of them are organized protesters and have no affiliation with the schools at all.
Well, we're also finding that the professors are in on it, encouraging the kids.
Some of them, yes.
Well, certainly not all down to a single one, but you're finding that they have radicals on campus that are throwing gasoline on this fire. Now, you're not going to find a tenured professor sleeping in a tent in the quad. I know that much. But they're the ones who are spewing the rhetoric in their classrooms.
I guess it kind of cracks me up, too, that a lot of these protesters, if they were to go to a country like, and Palestine's really not a country, I guess, but if they were to go there, their lifestyles and their beliefs would probably get them killed. And
when you see signs like "gays for Hamas,"
yeah,
we should get a sign that say "kill me."
Yeah, throw me off a roof.
Exactly.
So, anyhow, and then a real quick one, and this kind of came up in our conversation today, but this is just as a Braves fan, and many other baseball fans are going through this right now too, but Sinclair and Bally Sports, oh my God, they are ruining baseball. And we saw it this week with they're going bankrupt. Supposedly, Bally's not even going to have baseball streaming rights next year, but they're going bankrupt. They filed bankruptcy in a bunch of areas, and now Xfinity, they can't get a contract worked out with Xfinity because they have no money, and they haven't been paying Xfinity for the streaming they've been doing, and now many fans cannot even watch their own teams. And it's getting old, and it's getting old real quick. And I'm curious to see if we get through the entire baseball season without Major League Baseball stepping in and doing something about it.
That is a moneymaker for MLB. Huge moneymaker. And just to cut off a revenue stream like that, and it's why we see smaller and smaller stadiums, is the at-home experience, for the most part, is better than the day at the ballpark. You don't have to worry about parking.
Yeah, my biggest hope is that the actual streaming of the games gets brought in-house by Major League Baseball, because I have the Major League Baseball app. I pay for the Major League Baseball app. I get to watch every game I want to except for the Braves. And their streaming is fantastic. The experience is fantastic. It's reasonably priced. Just let us watch our home team through that app too, and get rid of this regional sports streaming deal, and get back to where people can watch the game. It'll probably increase interest in the game. You know, they've had a hard time getting American kids to play baseball. A lot of kids are losing interest in professional baseball, and maybe one of the ways you can get them interested again is make it accessible. So.
Yeah, that's why you see so many recruitment trips to Latin America. Is American kids you just don't see sandlots anymore.
Nope. You do down there. You do in the Dominican.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it's for them. It's a career path. It's way out. All right. Well, going off the theme of your previous mule, Biden's Department of Education is doing an investigation for anti-Muslim actions when Kemp had the state troopers come in and bust up their encampment at Emory.
It's Yes, they're going to claim that they're anti-Muslim because they broke up protesters.
Why is no one investigating Columbia for having Jewish students so scared that they are doing all their classes online and are not going to go to their commencement?
I don't know. And the Emory protests turned destructive very quick, to facing property, tearing stuff up. None of this makes sense to me. I just, some days I think we're living in clown world.
Well, DeSantis did the same thing at University of Florida. Bust that stuff up.
Yeah, as well as they should have, because they weren't peaceful protests anymore. And once you get destructive, you lose your right to keep being, to keep protesting.
It's not a protest. Taking property, taking properties is not a protest. And then you have protesters in different colleges asking for food and water, vegan food and fresh water to be brought in to them. No. No, you're not being starved to death. Either do something bad enough to get arrested and you'll get 3 hots in a cot, or leave, go down to the convenience store and get yourself a bottle of water and a bag of chips.
And maybe, I don't know, is it that they have to investigate this because it was, because of the complaints that were filed? I don't. Is it some sort of a it seems law very that says they have to do it?
I doubt it. It seems very pointed to pick this one university, and it happens to be in the state run by a governor who's probably going to run for Senate in a couple years.
Because it looks like the investigation started after what is it? They call it CAIR, it was a CAIR, the Council on American Islamic Relations, and the Palestine Legal Fund have filed a lawsuit, and then that's triggered the whole investigation. But anybody can come up with a claim. This has been a very public, on camera every step of the way process. The news and the filming of this has been from the beginning. It's right there in front for everybody to see. I just don't. I don't get it. I really don't get it. I don't. All these protests have just been driving me nuts. I don't understand why this is going on. To me, it's all political. It's all for, it's all planned. It's all part of something bigger. Where
do you get 20 plus gas masks exactly the same, unless somebody is supplying it to them?
It is. It's organized. It's supplied. It's funded. But yet we never look into that. It goes back to when we had the riots, several summers ago, and a pallet full of bricks just mysteriously shows up on the middle of the street.
Yeah, and some of the other things that they were requesting, and I think this was at Columbia, was AIDS tests, Plan B, and some other things but they didn't ask for were condoms. And everybody's out there not showering. I can't imagine that. I'm like, what? Yeah. But go get your own medical supplies. How about go back to your dorm room, take a shower, and then go on a date?
You aren't right, Dave Roberts.
Well, they've been there more than a week. They have to be about ripe.
Me growing up, we just called that the Amish kids.
Yeah. So I don't know what the DOE is actually going to do. You can't really levy too big of sanctions on Emory University. They have very, very deep pockets.
Oh, this just befuddles me. It almost leaves me speechless, and I know that's hard for me to be, but at some point my brain just can't process the idiocy.
No, it's I just don't. I guess people were beginning and ending stories with people being duped.
Yes.
These students don't even know what they're protesting. Now the professionals are just anarchists. They show up and they say, okay, what's the cause today? All right, free Palestine. Then they'll hand out all the clothing that needs to be had, brand new tents, tell them where to set up, and they're being moved around the country from college to college to college, wherever they can bring the most chaos. And that's all these folks care about is chaos.
And it's the election coming up, and I think it's 100% tied to that, and trying to influence that. And what really blows my mind is through all this and this whole conversation we just had, Dave, we never talked about the reason that all this stuff had started in the first place, and that was that Hamas invaded another country, raped, murdered, kidnapped people from their own homes and their own communities and drug them back across the border. And if that happened here in the United States, we would obliterate whoever did it.
Oh, yeah. And people also fail to realize that Israel conducts its warfare about the nicest way possible.
Very targeted, very direct.
And send a warning out in Arabic. Yep. Hey, listen, if you live on this block, get out. And then hit the one building that they were aiming for, and then move on. And
if you were dumb enough to stay there, you end up paying for it.
I mean, we're not talking about Israel taking B-52s and carpet bombing Gaza.
No, very targeted.
You know, there are Palestinians who are just residents. That's, they just want to live their lives and all that stuff. But they voted overwhelmingly to bring Hamas into power.
Absolutely. They've supported them for years.
And yeah, if say Mexico ran into Arizona, ran into Phoenix, and says hits the cartels, run into Phoenix, kidnap a bunch of people, rape, kill, pillage, and then run back into Mexico, damn right, our military would be mobilized in a heartbeat. That'd be the moment where you tell the president of Mexico, you're either with us or against us, but we're going in. We're gonna get as many people back as we can and kill as many of the bad guys as possible.
Agreed.
So when you think about it like that, and the numbers of people that are dead or are captured, and I'm not even sure how many hostages they have left alive.
Oh, I don't think there's very many at all.
I mean, they've been beaten, raped, both men and women, living in poor conditions and not fed regularly.
And the thought that part of the negotiation process is continuing to talk about these hostages, and I'm like, why are we even sticking up for these people when we continue to talk about this exact thing, the hostages? What started this whole ordeal? Why are the hostages even there? If these people were any kind of good, there would be no hostages. They would be home already.
Well, if you consider yourself a military, you strike military targets. Is there collateral damage? Sure, it happens. It's horrible when it does.
If you're a terrorist, you strike civilian targets,
and then hide behind civilians.
Yes.
They wanted to instill as much fear in terrorists as they possibly could. Well, on that happy note, Doug, do you have any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I want to, we talked about all the horrible things with the campuses right now and all these stupid protests and how some of them are students and that. And what I don't want to get lost is starting this week, in fact, starting last night, Georgia Tech had their graduation last night. There are so many kids out there who are living out their dreams right now, getting their college degrees, putting in all the hard work, and are going to become wonderful kids and are going to become wonderful kids. I've got a friend that's graduating Tuesday with his master's degree in accounting from Kennesaw State. My daughter's graduating from Terry College of Business at Georgia on Friday. Let's not forget all these great kids that are doing good things and coming out of school with a good education and try not to tie them into the few idiots that have been showing their butts the last couple of months, and hope these kids can celebrate their accomplishments, because it's not easy to do what they're doing. And I sure am proud of some of the people I know that are graduating from college this next couple of weeks, and just don't want to forget them.
Yeah, I guess you'll be going down to Athens to watch her walk.
Yeah, Friday afternoon we're going to watch her and get right on out of there before the big ceremony at the stadium Friday night. So she's going to have her Terry College of Business graduation on Friday afternoon at 1, and we're really looking forward to it. She did not get to have much of a high school graduation because of COVID, and so I really want her to be able to celebrate this because it's a big deal.
That's another thing they were talking about, these protests in Columbia. These kids didn't get a high school graduation, which if you want to see what a high school graduation's like, go wear a trash bag and go sit out in the middle of your yard in the sun.
Yep,
that's graduation. But I just hope that they don't step all over your daughter when they announce her, when they read her name, because people can't listen to basic requests like please hold applause until all of our graduates.
Hearing her name is more for me than her. I know there are people that do that, and I've dealt with it before, but getting to walk across that stage and get handed that empty thing that's supposed to be a diploma, because you don't get it till later, till you're actually done with everything. And but that's for her, and seeing her do that, and people get excited and they do stupid stuff and yell their names and get loud and rowdy, and it sucks, but at the same time they're excited, so I just try to keep remembering that. And but it's going to be nice. I'm glad that she's going to get a chance to celebrate when she really didn't get to for high school.
Good. I mean, that's awesome. You get to see some of the fruits of your labors. I imagine having her in Athens was not cheap.
You know what? It wasn't, but she was a smart kid, and she did things with Hope Scholarship and that. And all in all, I can't complain. The state schools, especially in Georgia, are fantastic, and she got a good education that I think is a much better price than what a lot of kids are paying for private schools.
Look, man, at one time I saw that Kennesaw State per year or per credit hour was more expensive than University of Georgia.
They're all pretty much the same now, the way the Georgia regions work.
Yeah, at one point, Kennesaw State was, you couldn't even get in Kennesaw with a 4.0.
No, you still can't with Georgia. She had to go to Kennesaw and transfer to Georgia.
Yeah, go to a feeder school.
That's how restrictive it is.
Look, yeah, I mean, it's highly competitive. But on that note, my closing thought is, if you like what you hear, like and share us on the socials, inflict us on your friends if you don't like what you heard, and we will talk to you next week.
Yep. Maybe Ken will be back.
Just maybe.
Maybe.
Thanks, Dougie.
Thanks, Dave.
Catch me howling at the moon.